book lovers, it's Jenny at Julia Baby Jen, and this is Ayearathon wrap-up. So I finished my Ayearathon readathon when the theme was short books. And I finished it and it was so awesome. I loved it. It was a great week, and I'm going to talk about what I read. I read 3 novellas in the I Am Number 4 series. I read The Fugitive, which was 127 pages, and I gave that 5 stars. The Navigator, which is 100 pages, and I gave that 4 stars. And The Guard, which is 106 pages, and I gave that 4 stars. I Am Number 4 series is about an alien race. 2 races, one that's already been defeated by the evil aliens, and they're coming to Earth to take over Earth, and there's only a few Lorians left, and they're the good aliens, and they were sent here to protect us. So there's like 10 of them, or well, they start out with 9, but there's 10 of them to protect Earth, and so this is their story. So the novellas are more backstory, and I absolutely love The Fugitive. That was another Mark James story, which, again, I'm still shocked that I really liked him as much as I did, but anyway. So yeah, these are kind of backstory novellas. They take place between, I would say, after the Fall of 5, right around the time of The Fate of 10, which is the 6th book in the series. So these are a bit later on in the series. They were good reads. I read Glitch by Hugh Howey, which is a short story. It was about 15 pages, and it's just a short story taking place in the future, where people build robots to fight in arenas for entertainment. So it's about this one team that has built Max, one of their robots, and something is wrong with him, a glitch, but it turns out to be something completely different than what they thought. So it's a very short story, but it's really interesting. I loved it. I would love it if Hugh wrote a book based on this world and this premise, because it was awesome. I gave this 4 stars. I read The First Start of Fall by Diana Peterfriend. This is 34 pages. It's a short story prequel that takes place before the events in Across the Star-Swept Sea. So this is the story of how the wild poppy got started and how the revolution kind of happened. And it's a really good story. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I finished The Mermaid Sister by Carrie Ann Noble. This is 231 pages. This is a fantasy, but it feels like a fairy tale. It's about these 2 girls that are sisters and are actually adopted by this witch who lives in this forest cabin. This is takes place in a historical sense, and they're kind of hidden, but one of them was delivered in a conch shell as a tiny baby. So she slowly starts to turn into a mermaid, and it's not a big surprise. They're like teenagers now. But the point of view is actually from her sister, who is brought by a stork, and so the sister thinks she's going to turn into a stork. So it's her story on trying to save her sister from becoming a mermaid, and it goes off completely from there. It was a really fun story. A quick read. I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. Secret of the Old Clock by Carolyn Keene. This is the first Nancy Drew story ever. This was 180 pages. I really enjoyed it. I gave about 3.5 stars, mainly because the writing was a little so-so. You can tell this is the first Nancy Drew, but regardless of that, it's still, considered as published in 1930, it still was really fun to read. It had fun adventure, and Nancy is very modern in this if you consider 1930 women. She did a lot of things for herself, like change a car tire and things like that. And she's very independent and really has some good brains on her. And I think that's just such an awesome role model. I think that it's amazing, to be honest, that this even got published in 1930, but I'm glad it did, because now we have Nancy Drew, and can you imagine life without Nancy Drew? So yeah, this is a fun story. 5 to 1 by Holly Bodger. This is 244 pages. This was my favorite read of the week, well, close to my favorite read. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really loved this story. It's a a futuristic society dystopian taking place in India, but it feels very old-fashioned at the same time, and the girl's point of view is told in prose, and the writing is just beautiful. But basically, it flip-flops society on its head as what we're used to in a lot of societies with population control, how the girls all of a sudden, there's more boys than girls. In this one, there's more girls than boys, and boys are considered are considered pretty worthless. So it's very interesting. I really liked this story. Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. This is 207 pages. This was probably my favorite, maybe tied with 5 to 1 read of the week. I love Peter Pan. I love the whole story. It's kind of a sad and yet creepy story at times, but I really love the adventure in it. It was great. I've never read Peter Pan from cover to cover. I've read maybe bits and pieces of it, but it was a really fun read. It has a very bittersweet ending. But yeah, a little bit of nostalgia there, but I really enjoyed it. I finished Creation by Kat Mellon. This is a novella that's 106 pages. It's a standalone novella about a futuristic society where people who are creative are basically kidnapped to this school where they create things, but they don't know anything outside of the school. They're kind of brainwashed, and so all they know is where they are, and there's very strict rules. So this is the main character, and this starts to discover what's really going on, and that's kind of what this is about. It was a really good story. I really enjoyed it. Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire. I loved this story. First of all, it's very short. It's 169 pages. I don't know, the end of it kind of felt complete, but yet there's more that could happen. So I don't know if it's going to be a part of a series or what. I need to look that up. It's actually, I adored it. It's an adult read. At times it feels YA, but then there'll be a swear word thrown in or talk about masturbation or something. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is not YA. So it's not YA. Don't go into it thinking it is, but there's nothing really graphic. I mean, it is a little, it's creepier than I thought it was going to be. It's a little bit scary. There's some murders going on, and it's just amazing. So basically the premise of this is children who disappear to other worlds, like say, like Narnia, where they disappeared across the wardrobe, and that's happened throughout, books forever. Well, apparently that really happens. These children disappear, they go through a door, and they end up in another world. Well, sometimes they get sent back to their world, and they can't cope. They don't know how to deal with it. No one believes them that they've been to these worlds or whatever. So there's a school. It's called Eleanor West Home for Wayward Children. And so she promises the parents of these children that she'll rehabilitate them, and she acts like, they're delusional or whatever. But she was a child who went to Wayward Home, who went to one of these worlds too. So she knows all about it. So her school is all about embracing them for who they are, but helping them learn how to survive in normal society again. So that's the whole point of this, and most children never leave these homes, because her school, because they can't get past it. So the story on this is that a girl shows up named Nancy, and all of a sudden all rules are off, murders start happening, no one knows what's going on. So that's basically the story. It's a quick story, but it's creepy, and I loved it. I thought it was really, really fun. So yeah, I gave it 4 stars, and if it's part of a series, I can't wait for the rest of them. I'll have to look that up. And the last book I read for the readathon was Finding Citarella by Colleen Hoover. This is a novella that's 90 pages. It's the last book in the Hopeless series by Colleen Hoover, although you can read it like a standalone, I guess. I read it after I'd read the first 2, so I was kind of glad I did, because I had a little more backstory on the characters there. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I loved the entire Hopeless series. This got 4.5 stars for me. I love this series. I cannot understand why I haven't read it sooner. But yeah, it was really wonderful. It's your basic YA/NA romance. There is nothing super graphic, but it's a little bit older YA if you're gonna read it for YA. So my grand total was I read 1,609 pages altogether. I finished 5 books, 5 novellas, and 2 short stories. So that was pretty good. Now, remember, these were all really short. I also did some other reading besides the readathon. I actually read 3 more books. Yeah, I was reading 3 more books during the readathon. I haven't finished the 3rd one yet. I did not count them in these page counts because they are way over the page count number for the short book readathon. So there's not counted in there. So not only did I read all that, but I read some other things too. So it was a really good reading week for me. I'm hoping I can keep it up for September. I had a great time. I thought this readathon was really fun. I'm excited to join in for October. This is the first time I've ever done this readathon, and I thought it was really nice and laid back and very fun. So if you want to do a fun readathon that has a little bit of a theme, but you're really up to you on how you do it, I suggest joining this one. I will leave the link below to it so you can join in next month if you'd like to. And let me know if you're participating in any readathons coming up. I would love to know that. I've been keeping a list of what's going on because I love readathons. So I hope everyone has a good day. I will talk to you later. Bye.